Hello guys, I'm Jose from pixelado.com and welcome to this Blender and Natron tutorial. I'll start by doing a real basic and sketchy concept art with Krita. This is a very important step, at least for me, as my inspiration tends to go away in the middle of my workflow. Then I get lost and everything becomes a real mess. Mainly for this reason, I always try to make a concept of what I'm about to start. I'm going for a low poly landscape with a few mountains, the sea, some rock formation, maybe a planet. Overall, I'm basically looking for a nice and clean composition. This is gonna be a slightly different tutorial than usual. I'll speed up some unnecessary and boring parts, and if needed, I'll briefly explain what I'm doing so you guys don't get lost or anything. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. I'll help you if I can. I'm also not gonna teach you how to model or do any basic 3D stuff, because I know there are loads of great tutorials out there that already teaches you everything you need to know. You can download the Blender and Natron files as well as the .exr multi-layer 4K render so you can follow along with this tutorial. No more talking, let's get started, shall we? Here in Blender, I'm gonna set the concept art image as a background for reference, and I'm going to block the elements with some really low poly models. After the main shape is looking a bit like the concept art, I'll apply the same modifiers to the objects. The subsurface modifier, when needed, to slightly increase the mesh's resolution. The displace modifier with a tweaked blended texture to give some random variations. Sometimes I'll apply two displace modifiers with different sizes to give more variation depending on the shape I'm looking for. And at the top, I'll apply the decimate modifier to decrease the mesh resolution with a cool and triangle low poly style. For the materials, I use a simple shader using the new principled BSDF. Just simple colors with a bit more specular. I'm using roughness of 0.3, clear coat of 0.2 and a 0.2 of transmission. For the environment, I'll use a simple sunset HDRI image. Then I'll set up a simple lighting with two suns and two emission solids, one slightly blue and the other a bit yellowish. Okay guys, this is what we have so far. Now comes a very important part where we set up the render layers and the passes that are gonna be imported in the compositor. Let's just go over some of the settings that I have here. I'm gonna set this to 4K, I guess. We don't have to worry about the frame rate because it's gonna be a still image. PNG, RGBA, 16-bit. It's not gonna be PNG. It's gonna be OpenEXR multi-layer. The render samples, I'm gonna go with 300. but I'm gonna check here. Also, this is the Blender version that I'm using, okay, which has this awesome denoising feature that I'm gonna enable. Of course I will. And I have to set this value for the clamp indirect because I was having some artifacts here in the water and the reflection of this mountain thing here. So let's go to the render layers tab. I have named the standard layer here to everything, and it's gonna have everything. For this layer, we will check the combine, the Z, mist, the shadow pass, the ambient occlusion pass, the glossy direct, and indirect, the transmission direct. I don't know if we're gonna use this at all, but it's good to have it, right? So I'm gonna explain for you what I did with the order of the elements here on the scene. So I'm gonna go to my 3D view here, and in the first layer we have this mountain that is closer to the camera, these two mountain here. The second layer we have this main mountain thing here, rocks, I don't know, rock formation, I don't know what is that. The third layer, also this mountain here, this island, and so on. This is wrong. I'm gonna place the, let me see, the water on this third layer below here. Okay, now it's set. I think you guys get it. And these two layers here, we have our lighting, and these solids with emission material, they are not visible to the camera. They're just helping us to light the scene. So let's activate everything and set our layers. The first layer is gonna be this guy here, so let's call it, I don't know, mountain FG for foreground. The second layer, let's call it main mountain. Third layer, let's call this first island. The fourth layer, second island. Then mountain VG, yes, for background. And this is gonna be our planet layer. And then the last one, the water layer. Now we have to set what we want in each layer. Let's activate everything now. In the first layer, the mountain foreground, we want to have this one and these two, which is the mountain foreground and the lighting. The main mountain, which is this element right here. We will want to have the second layer and these two. Then the first island, third layer, then this two, second island, fourth layer, then this two, then so on. Planet. Okay, and the water. Some of these layers will have to be masked in order to help us for the compositing part. The layer that I think we're gonna need this, I guess pretty much everything that touches the water. The main mountain touches, so third layer below here for the mask, which is the water layer. First island, same thing, then same thing. Mountain BG, same thing. No, I don't think Mountain BG needs it. The planet doesn't need it, and the water definitely doesn't need it. Now, what are we going to need for each layer? What passes are we going to need? For the mountain foreground here, I think I'm gonna need the combined. I don't need the Z pass. I'm gonna need the ambient occlusion, maybe the glossy direct, and I think the same thing for each one of these. So main mountain, combined, ambient occlusion, glossy direct, yes, first island, second island, mountain, planet, and the water, the ambient occlusion, maybe the glossy direct and indirect. We don't have any subsurface scattering on this scene, so I guess we are all set. So this format here, this file format, OpenEXR multi-layer, it takes with it all these layers and all of the passes for each layers. Everything just a single sequence if you're working with animation. As we're working with a still image, it would be only one file, .exr, with everything inside. So I'm gonna render this out, pause the video real quick, and we see each other inside Natron. So this is what we will try to replicate. So let's open up a new project file in Natron. Then let's just drag and drop our low poly landscape render.exr in here. Let's plug this on the viewer, and right out of the bat you can see that Natron recognizes the file resolution, which is 4K in this case. And you can see if you double click this node, this reader node, we have all the passes that came from Blender. This is gonna be our main 3 direction here. So we're gonna merge layers on top of each other in this kind of way. But each layer compositing will come in a vertical way. You'll understand what I'm saying in a bit. If you want to check if your render is okay, you just have to double click the reader node here and then select the, in our case, it's everything combined RGBA. There we have it. But we're not gonna use this now. We are going to use the first layer, which will be the planet combined RGBA. So let's create our sky first, at least a base sky so we can work with. So let's choose a ramp node. And by default, this black value comes with a 0 alpha, which means it's totally transparent. So let's put a number 1 here. And I'm going to choose a light bluish color. And at the bottom one, let's choose a bit more darker blue. Let's separate our ramp points here. Pretty much. And let's hook this in the background and our planet in our foreground. Let's see what we have. Make some room. Now let's merge. Let's just copy and paste our reader, and let's rename the first one planet, and the second one will be a mountain BG combined RGBA. Let's hook it up. Then let's merge our next layer here, which will be, it will be the island, second island combined. Yes, that's right. So let's plug this in here, see what we have. Okay, now let's merge on top of that our next layer, which will be, also don't forget to rename this. This will be fourth island combined RGBA. On the top of that, let's merge our main mountain combined RGBA, and let's rename it main mountain. And on top of that, let's merge mountain FG, which is our mountain foreground. So mountain foreground combined. Hook this on the A channel. Now what we need is the water. The water will be right after the mountain BG. So let's merge it here. Copy, paste, double click, output layer, water combined RGBA, hook the A channel into it. Okay, so you can see that in the areas where the water intersects with this mountain here, it became black. It's because we didn't properly set the masks here, but that's no problem. We just have to create a mask to be the factor for this merging. So in order to do that, we just have to create a, so by the way, Control Tab, Roto. Then let's select the Roto tool. And let's just do a rough mask here. Then we just have to take this mask factor here, this plug, and plug it into the merge. And right away you can see, if you select the roto, then close its tabs so the handles goes away, you can see that it is masking much better. But this is not a priority, because if you put the viewer there in the end, you see that only this part will appear on our image. So for now this is more than okay. So let's close here. First thing we're gonna do now, we are going to use color ramps to give a nice ramp style to each layer. So first of all, let's start here with our mountain background. Select the mountain, then hit M for merge. Then let's create another ramp. Actually, let's Control C and Control V the other ramp that we have here. Let's just hook the viewer to this. Let's invert these values here. And let's plug this into the A channel here. Let's see what we have in our mountain. Of course, we need to change the transfer mode in here. So double click and change from over to maybe overlay. Yes, this is the kind of effect that we're looking for. Brighten this color up a bit, like this. So now we have a nice ramp. If you want to see the difference, you just have to, with this merge selected, you just have to hit D for disable, then D for enable again. Let's see with the entire composition. Let's do now the same thing for the second island. So let's copy this ramp here, paste next to our second island. Let's make some room with the reader selected. Hit M on the keyboard and plug this ramp into the A channel, which is the foreground. Change from over to overlay. Let's clear this. Select our ramp so we can control only this ramp's points. This. Let's adjust the other ramp so it's a bit more clear. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for our water. Let's do the same thing now for our first islands. This ramp thing helps us to give a little more depth to our scene, like this. I think it's pretty good. Then let's do the same thing for our main mountain. Okay, now let's do the same thing with our mountain foreground. This is fine for me. Now let's do this for the planet. The only thing different for the planet will be that we are not going to use a linear ramp. We're gonna use a radial. So Control Tab and just type radial. Select the radial. Now I'm gonna teach you guys a pretty cool technique that can help you on the compositing. So let's try and give a little bit more depth to our scene. First of all, we are going to use our mist path, but after that we are gonna do what the mist path should do a bit more properly, except we're gonna do this with masks. So first of all, let's copy this mountain foreground here. Then let's rename this mist. Let's select mist here on our list. So it will be everything mist Z. Select the last merge on the node tree, then hit M, hook the A into the mist, then change from over to screen and lower the value. So here on the mist channel, it looks like we don't have much information, but if you actually plug in a color correct node and change the offset value, you can see that yes, we have a bit of information here. Okay, now our scene have a little bit more depth, but we should decrease this. Okay, it's looking quite cool. If you guys wish to compare the raw render with what we have so far, you just have to copy this one, then paste, then select the everything combined RGBA and hook the viewer. So this is the raw render and this is what we composed so far, which I think is going pretty good. Okay, next thing, before we start giving more depth to the scene, let's multiply our ambient occlusion path. So let's select everything AO and let's check this channel. So hook this into the viewer, and this is okay. But we have one problem. If you hit A for viewing the alpha channel for this, you can see that this is totally transparent and we don't want that. So let's come back here to our compositing, hit A again so we can see the RGB channels. With the last node of the tree selected, let's hit M and then A, plug in the A, and let's change this merge from over to multiply. And immediately you see that the sky turns black. This is due to our alpha. How do we fix this? We can simply select the same layer, then instead of the ambient occlusion pass, you just have to select the everything combined pass, which contains a pretty clear alpha channel. If you hook this into the viewer and hit A, you can see that the alpha channel is correct. So you can use this as the factor. This ambient occlusion will mix multiplying with the rest of our compositing. Again, our ambient occlusion pass has a wrong alpha information. It's totally transparent. It works, but it's given a black sky. So in order to fix that, we have to make this have a different alpha channel. And one of the passes that we know that has a right alpha channel is the combined, everything combined RGBA. Check here, you can see that. So you can steal the alpha channel from this pass for this pass. How do we do this? We simply pick the mask for this multiply merge here and select the mountain foreground here. Now, if we hook our compositing in our viewer, you can see that the sky comes back. Okay, let's go back right to the start here, right after our planet, which is merged to our sky. You can create another merge layer, and now we're gonna use a custom roto, just like we did before with the water. So let's type roto, select roto draw, then hook this into the A channel directly, because this is gonna be, and let's start drawing some shapes in here. And you can see a white shape appears in the background. And this is exactly what we want. If you select this green line here, click and drag, this will feather your mask in that exact vertex. So that's exactly what we want. So let's feather this out a little bit and hide this endpoint. Nice foggy feel to our scene. And then we are going to do the same thing for the other layers. So I'm gonna show you the next one, and maybe I'll speed up the process so you guys don't have to watch it over and over again. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for each of these layers. See you in a bit. Okay guys, now on top of this, let's add another pass that we brought from Blender. So let's copy this reader here. And let's select the everything combined gloss direct. Merge this on top of everything. And let's change the merge node to screen, maybe even plus. And let's see what is this pass. It is this. It is all the glossy materials and with the glossy isolated. So we can increase this in the post-production. Here's without it and with it. I think I like this. It gives us some highlights that we didn't have before. On top of that, let's just give a slight color correction. Saturate a little bit. Increase the contrast. Bring the gamma down a bit. Yes, such nice colors we have here. Now that is kind of oversaturated. Can come back to the mist pass and increase this a little bit. Now on top of everything, guess what? Another feathered solid. So let's merge another radial and let's give it a yellowish color like this. Put it right over here. Let's make it big. And let's change its transfer mode from over to plus. Let's give it a more saturated color and decrease how much it blends with our scene. Yes, just faking a sunlight here. And at the top of this, another one, except this one will be down here and slightly purple-ish. There's not a recipe for this. This is just the way I like things. So it is entirely up to you guys what you're gonna do with your scene. This is it for the final result out of all of this compositing. So I hope you guys learned something from this video, hope it was useful. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you didn't already, and turn on notifications for the channel so you don't miss a thing. Also, you're all welcome to join our Facebook group, Natron and Fusion Brazil. Link is in the description. If you also want to follow me, my social media, Facebook, Instagram, ArtStation, all of those good stuff, the links will be also on the description below. So that's it. I am Huzi, and until next time.